great moment here. You see when he's doing a cartwheel. If you do without the hands, you get even more power. My name is Mestre Amen Santo. I'm from Bahia, Brazil, and I've been practicing capoeira for 50 years. So today you're gonna be reviewing some capoeira scenes in movies and TV and see how effective they are. People take for granted how powerful the hands are. In the modern capoeira practice, we do have some strikes. You can use this part of your hand and you can exert as much as this. If I go like this up with full power, it's devastating. What they did is something that we do very commonly in capoeira. We practice that armada, and typically, we get this close to go fast and be able to react. The front kick Benson, that was beautifully done because he used your upper body going back, he gained power. You can make someone fly like that. Wesley Snipes is an incredible guy, incredible martial artist, because they're exaggerating, I'll still keep that 9. When we're judging by the technical aspect of perfect, Lateef is an incredible fighter. Adding that spin, right, was his choice in the fighting situation. He will never do that. And a lot of the presentations you see in movies, you can only see one part of capoeira, which is more the visual. Capoeira is an African-Brazilian martial art and was brought from Africa to Brazil. But in Brazil, because of slavery, they had to practice capoeira differently because it was illegal to practice. So even today, people are completely confused about capoeira because you see like beautiful movements, but the whole point is to disguise the potential you have behind that particular movement. When he did the cartwheel from the low position, he had to be also careful because if he goes all the way in, he'll definitely hit the other actor. That one in the movie that he kicks back and forth, it's not a movement that you're gonna see in a fight. What I would say gets people confused, capoeira, there's an element of playfulness. There's no right or wrong. Some people use more the combat, other people more the playfulness. That's the meia lua, it's called half a moon. The way that was shot, you just see the kick going like this because they didn't allow it to go all the way because it would be too fast for him to get out. And that meia lua in the real world really goes with the heel with full speed. Good luck with that. He won't be standing up right now. I'll give her 9. They were very to the point, but for safety, they had to pull back a lot of stuff. Great moment here. You see when he's doing a cartwheel, he's using the acrobatic as a way of attacking. You can definitely generate the cartwheel with your hands and without your hands. If you do without the hands, you get even more power because you're just throwing your body in such a force that's gonna swing very hard in the face. That slide is escape, but from that escape, typically you want to strike because what you do after the escape. That's the whole point. The nature of capoeira is escape and you have a follow-up. For that situation, you're dodging, then I will throw a meia lua, which is a low kick, can be like anywhere from the leg here or up to the head. No powers! So that's one very, very typical way of attacking capoeira is with the headbutt. And they're doing the different angles like forward, sideways, backwards. But this was perfect because the only way he can actually strike back was using his headbutt. And that was a perfect example where he did that scissor. It's beautifully done because it comes from the ground, which is capoeira, I think, is the only art that it really uses the floor the way we do. Equally 50-50 standing and also use the ground. And then he went to the choking, which is more like jiu-jitsu. It's definitely the capoeira scissor allow that person to have the opportunity to do the next thing. There were certain things that I would have done differently, like the escapes. I'll give a 7. It can be very fluid. You can be from slow pace to super fast and do like 5, 6, 7 day kicks like back to back. It can be super dangerous when you do that and when you have the right timing. With that low position that we call rasteira, the sweep, it can be done, but will be extremely hard, especially if you have someone like Batman. She will be more an advantage of waiting for him to attack her and be responding instead of being attacking all the time. And using techniques that will hit the chin, be more direct, the groin, the knee, throat, eye. To use the walls to kick. Visually it's great. When you telegraph, when you show what you're gonna do, that means your opponent will be ready to respond. It's not the capoeira nature of showing like a snake, and a snake will wait for the right moment to go. I'll give you a 4.5.
Wait, what is it?
It's capoeira.
I thought maybe you were doing it wrong, but that's actually what it looks like.
If you're practicing this, calling ginga, that's silly. If I'm practicing ginga, basically it's the extent that you do your triangle. I'm working my posture so I can block with my elbow. I can block down. I can block up. So you move, you escape, attack from that foundation. If you're just doing this all day, it's pretty funny. Even this entrance here is more like a karate entrance. Just imagine someone like doing karate, doing cartwheel, and then just hit. It's interesting. But it's definitely not a representation what we're talking about.
My name is Gyro. Welcome to the world of capoeira. Capoeira is the most seductive form of self-defense. It combines peacefulness, fighting, and cardio.
Hold that for a second. Peacefulness. This to me, it feels like more like a yoga. Capoeira came from struggles, came from a survival situation. To be peaceful when you're supposed to survive is a contradiction there.
You can advance through the stages by earning different colored chords at the Troca de Cordões.
The rankings, right? That became more popular later on, but that traditionally wasn't that way. Lots of the training were done in the streets. Because certain people, they were able to survive during this combat, they became recognized as a master or a teacher by the community instead of someone just giving you a ranking. I'll give it 1.5. That was a great way to use capoeira with lasers. He's using a lot of capoeira Angola. There are two styles capoeira. Capoeira Angola, which you're gonna see a lot of the more fluid, slow movements. Some people can stand up as well, but most people, they'll be more on the lower part of the art. The other style is called Capoeira Regional that was introduced later by a master called Mestre Bimba, which you're gonna see more the strikes like the other films that you saw. And it's interesting this scene here that they use a lot of that to avoid to be touched, not to be in control of anything and just react to something that you see. To be able to fall and be able to bounce back without putting a lot of effort. Did a good job as far as like using the flexibility and the abilities that we're capable of in capoeira. I'll give 8.5. That's me when I used to have like long hair. People think that we actually doing the fighting here. We are doing the harder circle to practice our skills. If you notice, there's no contact because it's more the training. So the music is a big part of capoeira. Basically, in a circle, you have a bateria. That means where they have the beating bow, the drum. So when you clap and when you sing and when you play, you create more and more energy, so you'll be able to perform better. Even during slavery, a lot of times the music was used to create courage, to create endurance, to be able to fight against the oppressors. So the musicality is so important. It talks about history. It talks about struggles, how we're able to overcome, to become who we are today. I think this film was the first movie that actually featured capoeira from beginning to end. I won't give it 10, I'll give 9.5, because I know there was a lot of way to improve. Will Ferrell is such a funny guy. I think the capoeira here is definitely like overly exaggerated. You don't need to go over, but in a real situation, you just simply just go down and then drop the kick. If you're gonna spend that time just flying in the air, before you drop, they have many options to get out of the way and do other things. Would it be interesting if it was a beating bow and he was like hitting people, then would be very accurate. The beating bow is the main instrument in capoeira, but using somebody's like body to do that is pretty unrealistic. This one I will rate 6.5. It's too much of an exaggeration to complete one simple task. Okay, let's stop. Historically, it's a great story, but it took to a level that for me was unnecessary. Besouro, he was an incredible capoeirista. Traditionally, people that claim that he was able to fly, and it's very romantic, but this scene here, completely unrealistic. How can somebody be shooting and you be flying in the air like that? I can watch The Matrix and appreciate that. It's a whole different story here. Even though you have 3 people with rifles and you still be able to stand up, not very realistic, but it's doable. Capoeira came from that environment, fighting multiple people. It's just something that we know works, but again, it depends how good you are, how effective you are, how efficient. And that goes with many other arts, not just capoeira. I will give you 4. My favorite movie featuring capoeira, not because I'm in it, but I think only this strong, because there was element of the performance and now the actual combat to be able to use in a full-length film. Thanks for watching this video. If you like this one, watch the one above.